Hello, everyone. Welcome to the EXI podcast. This is the healing segment. And with me now is Gerard, who has been a long-standing EXI member, contributor, and who's going to share a little bit with us today about his journey into the world of healing. We believe to lead well is to heal well. They're interconnected. And so we want to hear a little bit about what Gerard has to share with us today. Over to you, Gerard.
Thanks, Anne. Happy to be here. The life story today is about some of the stuff what I experienced having physical issues, and we all know that they can have a different cause and effect, of course. But I focus now on some of these things. Okay, one of the things what happened to me when I was, I think, around 20 or something. Then I was also all of a sudden in the hospital, and then they basically couldn't discover what it was. So they jammed me full of all kinds of antibiotics, and then I got allergic for them. But then at the end of the day, I recovered from it. But it was also a situation then already that I was in isolation, and there was also a priest in my room, and so it's for me. It's that could be serious. And then but I was young and didn't think about dying anyhow, but there was something there what was not good. Interesting point in this story is that I was in similar situation that my granddad was also there, and I basically a couple of months ago I realized basically that was the case, because an issue in this story also. Then I've always been very much aware of eating, drinking, sporting, and all the basic stuff. From my point of view in life now is that I look at humans and ourselves as a holistic individual. And I even have a whole methodology developed through the years, how you can look at yourself from a mental, physically, and spiritual balance point of view. Because it is my strong belief is if you're not in balance in all these three segments, and you can maybe make them bigger, then you will have an issue in being a good father, of being a good worker, or anything else in the world. So the balance is for me the great thing. But I didn't learn that really on my 20s, though I was already quite spiritual and thinking about other things. But then when I got a big hit and I think it was when I was 40 or something like that. So then I ended up all of a sudden in the hospital. I was 1.5 weeks in full life support, and they cut me open and all that. It was all kinds to do with my bowel. So your bowels are basically now your second brain, so that's quite an important thing. So basically then, because I was always running, doing stuff, and very involved, and I found that I was very healthy. I've been living also working hard and playing hard life also, because and so all of a sudden I was there, and then the thing there is that, and that's my mentality anyhow. I was there and I looked at myself, and they cut me open. I had a stoma and all kind of stuff, but it was after I've been in full life support basically, and so I was in a good condition. So otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here today talking to all of you. But okay, my mentality, and that's my point basically. So okay, my mentality always has been, okay, if shit happens, then it happens. It's same if you're. Okay, I've run the New York Marathon, and I've done 200 Ks of skating and all that stuff. So I have a very simple mentality. My mind, I say, okay, I need to be there, and so that's also the same thing. If you want to be sick, then you will be sick. But I didn't want to be sick anyhow, and I also, when I was there just pre the operation, the people in the hospital said, "Oh, you're very relaxed," and lots of people are more excited. So my mindset was also that, okay, I have something there. There are people who have studied for it, and they will do the job. And I certainly was not thinking about going to die, but the whole situation when when my parents sat down my bed, I didn't know that, of course, for 1.5 weeks, and everybody there was lots of excitement, but I was not there anymore because I was fully drugged and all that stuff. But when I awoke again, I looked at myself. Okay, that's interesting, and then I decided very quickly. Okay, this is something I need to start like preparing for a marathon or something else. I need to become healthy. What do I need to do? I'm quite nerdy from that perspective because I want to know everything, what to do, not to do, and all that stuff. So that's basically then. So that started. Then you more aware how fragile we are as humans, and most of us know or don't know. But that's basically, you could see this as a life-changing event more than I was already aware. But now we say, okay, hey, it is just like a snap and you're gone. And so the key is that whatever situation you are, it can be a health issue, but also otherwise. But health is, I think, easier because your mental health, if that's strong, then you can basically say, okay, this is where I am, and this is where I want to go. But it's okay. What I realized also that's not for everybody easy to do. If you want to quit smoking, people can have fights, or if you want to lose weight. And for me, it's always been mentally, physically, spiritually balanced. So I've always been a person so that I don't want to be overweight or all the stuff because I eat the right stuff. And of course, playing hard and doing all that stuff. I've done all the stuff you shouldn't do, but that's also part of me. But now I'm more on the side, making more aware decisions there. But so what happened then? So I knew what I needed to do. And so basically they cut me open, and the thing was, let's say 6 months later, then they could recover me. And so that's, I did the research. What do I need to do? Eat, drink, blah, blah, blah. So it was a long way because you're running there, and then people think that you can live normally, but that's basically always a different story.
So would you say you had like this burning desire to live? And so, I think that's the fundamental, that you wanted to live, right? It's just even that aspect. It's like your mindset can want to fix things, but that you had this burning desire to live. And when you say you did, like you found out what you needed to do, how did you do that? Like, because in a situation like that, when you're just coming back to your senses and coming back to your strength, what was that thing that really motivated you to look at all the information? Did you have any, I would say, emotional support as well around you, family, friends, or do you feel that you had to build that emotional support from within?
No, you need to do it from within. But that's what I said yesterday in Healing Point. Basically, you're there because I'm the entity, and I knew that I was part of something there. What else? Because I also, during that period of time, I also met my granddad, who was dead already then. But that happened.
You had a out of body experience.
So I just was talking, and then basically because I knew that also be pre-operation, I was I'm not going to die because I had too many things to do, like this, for instance. So I think I was not already there, and
we're happy you didn't go, Gerard.
So then that was, but it is a mind thing, to my personal opinion, and to have, if you believe also that whatever dimension you will call it, and accept these things, it makes life, I think, for lots of people much easier.
So I want to touch on that a little bit. You said you had a connection with your grandfather, who was already dead at that time, and this was when you were in a coma.
Yeah.
Okay, and in that moment, do you feel that moment was a defining moment for you? What did that moment mean to you?
It meant that it basically always been a believer, or think, okay, there is something more. You could call it cosmic or whatever. All the names what people want to give to it, everything is good. But that was something there. Then I made also the connection. Basically, I did that then, but I did that recently actually. When I was 20, I was also together with him in the hospital. And then he survived, but then he was a peculiar guy also. But then, but that probably made, my interpretation is that made the connection, because he probably was more worried about me than about his own life there. So I think that was interesting that he jumped in again. And so that's my interpretation. And it can be that because you're in a coma and all the stuff, and it can be, but that's my belief. So that's my reality, and I'm happy with that reality, because that's also what it then did with me. to be, yeah. So I still want to be around for another 30 years, but if it is over, then it's also good. But I'm not done yet. So that's basically, yeah. It's
You were at peace with both ways, in other words.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. Yeah, because as you know, I've also had some experience with people who want to kill themselves. But okay, the acceptance, okay, I'm not here that I'm going to jump from a bridge because I think it's better on the next on the next side or whatever it is. But it's interesting to have it, because that's why if people want to read the Bible or whatever belief they have, if they feel peace with that, that's good. But the same what I saw when I spoke people as a coach, if they have somewhere a belief, it gives them much more foundation in their personal life. And the better we start to think about it, where we are, then you think about it differently, because we know more. But it can also be frightening. Knowing more can be frightening for lots of people also. But for me, it was then the thing, okay, I knew exactly where you've questioned, I figured out, okay, what do I need to do? Because my thing was, in that phase, 6 months, I need to live like blah, 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 blah. I need to do this, eat this. And I figured the knowledge out, talked with all the surgeons and all the stuff. And then I went back after 6 months. So I prepared like for a marathon. So I was ready. Then the guy who needed to perform the operation, he needed to be in good shape too. So he was there, and he was quite, it was new technique then, because they're not going to sew it, but then they use staples or something like that. And that was quite funny, because that's what happened then. I came out of that operation again, and then you saw the excitement rising, because something was not right then. And that are also the points. Then you're all alone, and you have loads of time to think about, okay, now it's going, and now I recovered from the operation. Maybe they need to reoperate, because I started bleeding like mad. So then you saw all the staff, and it was quite a funny moment actually, that guy who did the operation with me said, okay, Gerard, that makes me also humble. I haven't had this experience the last 3 years again. And I was not very polite, and that's saying, oh, what the fuck, why me, basically, that's anyway. And then I said, okay, let's wait for 4 hours. And then after 4 hours, it's all stabilized, and I was okay. Okay, the same was that also, I forgot to mention that also, when you wake up the first time, and they cut you open, and then you look, one of your first reactions is then, why me?
Yeah.
Because I know more people who are having a BMI of whatever and are less healthy than me. So but then, okay, you need to accept that, basically, because it's just bad luck. It can be anything. And so that's also an important thing. You need to accept your situation.
Yeah.
And then basically
that's so hard for many people.
Yeah, you can, with everything, you can start fighting it, but it's a waste of energy. Okay, and what happened at a certain moment in time, so then I jumped fastly forward now. So I did this, and then, okay, I was already aware, and I was eating more healthier than other people, and doing sports, and then still, but then, okay, what happened then in 2011 or something like that was it about, then I got the second hit, which was basically, lots of people know probably Crohn's disease, and I got ulcerative colitis. And so that was being a little bugger, because I recovered from the one thing, and I thought, okay, I always said, okay, I've done my thing, and I'm now a good boy. But then later on, I got this. That basically was an interesting correlation, to my personal opinion, because that has also to do with, not for this story, then when my brother in 2010 did his first suicide attempt, and the person I am, I wanted to cure him. I want to help him, and basically that drained loads of energy from my body. And then that happened by the end of 2010, and I did all the stuff what needed to be done. But then somewhere in April in 2011, I didn't feel well, and then also the diagnosis took quite a while, that I got ulcerative colitis, which is something. The other thing what I had before was, okay, it's a big hit, but this is it's draining your energy, because I've had then the first 4 years times when I was, because what happens then, you need to be basically next to the toilet because your mobility is going down the drain, everything, and you
Yeah.
can't see it. So I'm now medication free, but it took me 8 years to do it, and that's even more. Then you need to have a mindset of a gold medalist, I always say, to okay, this is what I need to do. And of course, there is me. Everybody is unique, but certain things, if you can apply them on yourself, especially on physical issues, and you're rational and say, okay, I'm a critical thinker. I was also challenging the specialist, of course. The first one I got, I was not happy with, so I basically changed him for a research guy and all that stuff. So, so I had that stuff earlier on. Then about, what was it? Yeah, whatever. Years later, I got this thing, and it was then again my mentality helped me, because then the thing is there. So you need to understand this. I did it on. I went to all these groups where all these people have of the similar disease, and then you have the classical approach that people wearing looking like a doctor, and they're saying I need to trust that person, but I like to trust them, but I have my own mind also. So I didn't. That's it. All these people want to be sick, and I'm here. How do I get better? And because this is an autoimmune thing, so it is basically scientifically, there's lots of stuff going on and lots of research. So from that point on, I started to look at myself as one big experiment. So I started to experiment with food and all kind of stuff. And now I have that strange mix, what I do every morning, and try all that stuff. And of course, I still do stuff what you shouldn't do, but okay, I'm not a monk. But it's again, to me, all these things are mind games. It's all about, okay, do I want it or not? That's the same. I can make a choice. I can set the priority. And that's with lots, like you will have them also, or anybody who listens to this. If you have friends and you say, okay, like having simple things like if you can't sleep very well, then you can, the slaapapnea, or what's it in English? Lots of people they have that mask, but if you lose 20K or 30K of weight, then you're without. And the same with diabetes too. There's lots of stuff you can do. And there is a tendency of lots of people who say, I take a pill and then my blood pressure is under control. I'm challenging all that. And I think my own body is very capable in doing stuff. And I don't want to be a fool. So I listen to regular science, of course, but it's the balance there. It's basically, that's all what we also about the old science of how to heal yourself, and lots of things are there. And it's, everybody is unique. And I also think that medication will be unique and linked to every person in the future more than now. And we're almost there. But your own mindset in healing, if you're talking about physical healing, you will be the best doctor in the world. Because that's where it is. Because, and then you need to, it's the same. If I wanted to fight what I had, the colitis, I say, okay, it's my new best friend. And so how I'm going to greet my new best friend in such a way that he will be, or he or she, I don't know if it is an it, if it will be happy. And now, by the end of 2018, I was able, medication free.
That's very powerful. That concept, Gerard, where did you get it from? Because it's to come to a point where you can call a disease, a chronic disease, right, a friend. It takes a lot of courage, and it takes a deep understanding of the mind and the heart. Where did that come from?
No, that's when I was thinking, basically what I said in the beginning. I've always been already kind of a spiritual guy, and being reading about paranormal stuff, and as you know, I'm a big Star Trek fan. So I'm a big believer in things. So if I look at my parents, they were not specifically religious or something. The generations before were, but more or less like a ritual kind of thing, I think. So it's been, I think it is a power which is in everybody, but you only need to find it. And basically, I'm one of the lucky ones that I found it. I knew that it was there, but then and the first time I was good heavily, and 1.5 week in coma, I just released it. And so I'm still here. And I think that's the trick, because if you, and it's also, accepting it. And it's with loads of things in life. You can say, why me, why me? Yeah, so of course, I asked myself that question, looking at myself, and I was completely open, and I just want to hear, and a big plastic bag on your body, and that doesn't make you extremely happy if you look at it. But I'm also can be very reflective, look at myself, okay, I can breathe, I can do this and all that stuff. So there is always a way that you can, it's about a dysfunctional belief and reframe it in the context of the reality which you have. And that's why I'm also now design your life and work.
Your life. Yeah.
So that's it's basically. And the funny part is that's I said, one of the things I'm working on sustainable employability potential. I can talk a whole week about stuff there, because I'm somewhere kind of a living example in certain things, because I've done that, I've been there. Maybe I don't advise to to get a colitis or something like that, but it's certainly life changing, and it tests your personal abilities in, okay, you can be in any shitty situation, but there is always a way out of it. Yeah, where do I get it from? It's a mind thing, because I've been always reasonably very, some people may call it stubborn, but having my own mind. I say, okay, I can listen to you, but I want to have my own opinion. And I'm always been very curious and also very relaxed. I've also been a surf dude and all that stuff, but that's, so it's a balance. I'm a lucky one, probably, a certain thing that okay, balance. Okay, I also I have parents. I never had my parents having a fight or something like that. So it's very, so a stable family is also useful, because I don't have lots of things with it sitting in my backpack to having, what we also discussed in these groups, that having lots of stuff to deal with. It's more, your inner, it could be your the original powers we have as humans. I think are, you need to find them, and you can deploy them once you know how to deal with them. And I'm not saying that I'm mastering all of these things, but at least I find certain ways in dealing with it. And from that point of view, I started to put things in context, and then holistically thinking and helping people, whatever. So it's basically, I learned certain things maybe in a way that I don't advise to learn it for other people, but at least if you know it, you need to trust on your own power also. And of course, having an educated way of looking at things. That's also the critical thinking point at this moment in time for lots of people who believe everything what floats around on social media, and they don't check where it's coming from. So that's not a good thing, to my personal opinion. But that is some of my story, basically, where I have had a interesting struggle with my new best friends, basically, as I call them. And and if you're looking now into 18 and now, some of the friends I met here where I'm now in Canada, they also say, they knew that if we were on the golf course, I couldn't go somewhere because I was racing to the toilet, basically, because otherwise there was a lot of mess there. So it's also a lesson in being humble. Because and you start to appreciate all the simple things. Like what I said, that's maybe a strange joke, but I'm saying, sex can be okay, but having a good shit, to say it it's the best thing, you can do. Because I've been in a situation that you can't do all that, and that's just terrible.
That isn't the first time I've heard it. So I actually now don't, believe that more people use that saying.
It's maybe it's a black and white saying, but it's you cannot be more correct in saying it that way, I think.
It's the basic bodily function, right?
Yeah.
Like bodily functions that sometimes you think, why it should work this way, right? Like, and it shouldn't be complicated, but
No, but lots of people, if you've been in that situation, think, I don't mind. I think the same if you're then in a situation, you could start wearing diapers or something like that. And that's and if you then that's a thing. So if you can do without, I think you should fight for it to be without all these things. And so that's why I'm pretty happy and lucky that I'm not in that phase that I need to eat 10 pills a day or whatever. So the funny is I'm now completely medication free. And
so were you advised by doctors to take certain things, but then you did your own research?
Yeah, so the thing there, if you're looking at, and that's the classical thing now, because the knowledge of certain people who are willing is also, that's good knowledge. So there needs to be, if you're the classical doctors who say, yeah, I've done all that, so don't argue with me and you need to listen to me, more saying very black and white. If people sensitive for their own life and how they work, then you need to listen to them very carefully and then make educated things. If you're saying, yeah, I eat 1 kilo of carrots every day and it works fine, and then just don't fight that as a medical guy or lady, but just say, oh, that's good. Okay, it needs to be something that you're saying. If you are reaching something where you're, basically it's life threatening, and of course there needs to be surgery or something that, maybe you should do it. So that's always a very balancing act, but that's like lots of people are not like some of us that they want to know all that stuff. So it's, you can say, I'm going to that person and he or she will tell me what to do. So I'm not a tell me what to do person. I want to have a proper discussion about it. and I agree, that's my life. I will decide.
So if right now someone is listening and they have a chronic disease and they are down about it, what would your advice to them be?
Yeah, now the first thing is, so accept that it is there. It's the key thing. Don't fight it in such a way. You fight it in a way saying, okay, what can I do to change, to have my new best friend in such a way that it is really my best friend. So start to learn, talk with your medical people, do also what they call the alternative ways, and look at everything what you can get at, and set your mindset basically that you want to be healthy. Because that helps. And we know lots of research now, positive thinking has already a positive influence on your health anyhow. And while we know now that food and your whole digestion system is key, so start to look at what is now the right food for me to eat. Because food and sleep and drinking and all that stuff is basically the key of your medication, in combination with a positive mindset. And of course, for you, it can be good to drink coffee, but for me, maybe not. So there is not, what I did, maybe 80% could be good for lots of people, but it's the difference sits in the details in a certain moment in time. I've been doing a lot of experimentation before I found the right mix. And for me, it was easy because you could easily see how you put something in and something is coming out. So if that's okay, then the process works. So that's not scientifically, but you can look at it and see that it works basically. So the main advice is positive mindset. Embrace what you have. Don't feel sorry. I think read the book The Art of Happiness of the Dalai Lama, and just there's always something worse there. And start to focus on that. And of course you can cry or don't feel happy, but that's normal human emotion. But don't stay there. Start to do something. Start to everything what you think you can do, you should be able to do, and you can always move one step further. So you need to make your horizon. Okay, what I did when I said, okay, my thing was I have this, I need to eat all these pills on a daily basis. It looks to me, if I can change that, having no pills and find my balance, then yeah, I feel much happier. And so, and that will be a different, it's yeah, mindset, being rational, be a critical thinker, because of course these people in the hospitals or the medications, the doctors and all these people, they have studied for it, but it's not an exact science. It's not like 1 to 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. That's not in the medical science. There's always lots of space. And if looking at what's going on in the world now, from a technology point of view, and from the old learnings of if you eat this kind of plants, then that will be improving your brain power or your bowel power or whatever. So it's yeah. So I'm a big believer that okay, you have science, good, and then also go to the origin of humanity, and that's where the great powers are, basically.
Thank you so much for that, Gerard. So to sum it up, you're saying feel the emotions, whatever you're feeling, feel them, accept your situation, reframe the belief so it works for you rather than against you, and look at all your options from functional medicine to nutrition to fitness to everything, and use critical thinking before you just follow any given advice.
Yeah. And it's also peer group reference, is always good, of other people who have run the same marathon. And they always are happy to help you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Gerard. That was so inspiring. And I'm looking forward to people actually helping themselves by listening to your story. It takes a lot of courage to share. And there's not a lot of people that share things that, you know, could potentially have broken them, right? But here you are on the other side of the fence. And I think it's a story that needs to be shared. So thank you for that. And we're looking forward to having a part 2 at some time in the future.
Yeah, that's it. I'm happy that I've done. And everybody who wants to learn more or just reach out to me, and that's how I am. I like to share what I know, and not that it is a one solution, but maybe it helps somewhere.